There is a war happening inside you right now. You cannot see it. You cannot hear it. No one around you knows it is taking place. But every single day, in the silence of your own mind, two versions of you are fighting for control. One wants comfort. The other wants greatness. One wants to sleep. The other wants to rise. And whichever one you feed today is the one who will own your tomorrow. There is a war happening inside you right now. You cannot see it. You cannot hear it. No one around you knows it is taking place. But every single day, in the silence of your own mind, two versions of you are fighting for control. One wants comfort. The other wants greatness. One wants to sleep. The other wants to rise. And whichever one you feed today is the one who will own your tomorrow. Most people lose this war and never even realize they were in one. They wake up at 40, at 50, at 60, and they wonder how they ended up so far from the life they imagined. They blame the economy. They blame their parents. They blame the timing, the luck, the circumstances, the people who didn't believe in them. But the truth is harder than that. The truth is that they lost 1,000 small battles long before they ever lost the bigger one. They lost the battle of the morning alarm. They lost the battle of the easy chair. They lost the battle of the phone in the hand and the doubt in the mind. They lost the quiet war within. And by the time they noticed, the war was already over. Let me ask you something. How many times have you known exactly what you needed to do and still chose not to do it? How many times have you told yourself that tomorrow would be different, only to repeat the same exact day for years? How many promises have you broken to the only person you cannot escape from, which is yourself? Think about that. Think about that slowly. Because that pattern, that quiet surrender, that small daily defeat is not a small thing. It is the most dangerous thing in your life. It is the silent thief of your potential. And nobody is going to come and save you from it. Nobody is going to fight this war for you. Here is the truth most people ignore. The hardest enemy you will ever face does not live in another country. It does not work at your job. It is not the person who hurt you, the parent who let you down, or the boss who passed you over. The hardest enemy you will ever face lives inside your own skull. It speaks in your own voice. It uses your own logic, and it is incredibly patient. It does not need to defeat you in one big battle. It only needs you to lose, quietly, a little bit, every single day. That is how potential dies, not in one dramatic moment, but in 1,000 quiet surrenders. Now listen carefully. The successful people you admire, the ones who built businesses, who got in shape, who became writers and leaders and parents you would want to be, they are not stronger than you in some magical way. They are not smarter. They are not more gifted. They simply learned to win the quiet war earlier than most. They learned that the most important fight of their life was not happening in the world. It was happening between their ears. And once they understood that, everything changed. Now let's go deeper. Let's talk about the power of a single decision. Imagine two men, same age, same income, same starting point. One of them wakes up tomorrow morning, hears the alarm, and gets up. Not because he feels like it. He doesn't. Not because he is excited. He isn't. He gets up because he made a decision the night before that his comfort was less important than his future. The other man hears the same alarm. He hits snooze. He tells himself he needs the rest. He tells himself one more day won't matter. And in that moment, he is right. One day will not matter. But here is what nobody tells him. He is not making a one-day decision. He is making an identity decision. Because tomorrow, he will hit snooze again. And the next day. And the next month. And 5 years from now, those two men who started at the same place will be living completely different lives. Not because one was lucky, but because one of them won the small war and the other one didn't even know he was fighting. That is the difference. That is the entire difference. Don't wish it were easier. Wish you were better. Now understand this deeply. Your life is not shaped by your goals. It is not shaped by your dreams. It is not shaped by your wishes or your prayers or your vision boards. Your life is shaped by what you do in the moments nobody is watching. The early morning when you could go back to sleep. The late night when you could keep scrolling. The hard conversation you could avoid. The workout you could skip. The lesson you could put off until next week. These are the moments where your future is being built or destroyed. Not on the big stage, in the quiet room. Most people are waiting for a big moment to change their life. They are waiting for a sign. They are waiting for inspiration to strike. They are waiting for the perfect opportunity, the perfect mentor, the perfect timing, the perfect feeling. And while they wait, life keeps moving. The clock keeps ticking. The seasons keep changing. And the small moments, the ones that actually matter, keep passing without being used. Let me tell you something important. Discipline is not a punishment. Discipline is not a prison. Discipline is the only thing standing between the person you are and the person you could become. Discipline is the bridge between goals and accomplishment. Without it, you have nothing but dreams. With it, you have a life. Now let me ask you, when was the last time you did something difficult on purpose? When was the last time you chose the harder road? Not because you had to, but because you wanted to grow. When was the last time you told that voice in your head, the one that begs for comfort, no? Because here is what you have to understand. That voice is not your friend. That voice does not want what's best for you. That voice wants what's easiest for you right now. And those are two completely different things. Most people spend their entire lives obeying that voice. They wake up tired, and that voice tells them to sleep more. They feel afraid, and that voice tells them to wait. They get rejected, and that voice tells them to give up. They have an idea, and that voice tells them it's already been done. They want to start something new, and that voice tells them they're not ready. And every time they listen, they get a little weaker. Every time they obey, that voice gets a little louder. Until one day, that voice is the only thing they can hear. That is how people lose themselves. Not in one big moment, but in a million small surrenders. Now here is something powerful. You can change this today, right now. Not next Monday, not at the start of the year, not when you feel ready, right now. Because the moment you decide to stop obeying that voice, the war begins to turn. The moment you do one hard thing on purpose, you remind yourself who you are. The moment you keep one small promise to yourself, you start to rebuild the trust you lost. And that trust, that internal trust between you and you, is the foundation of every great life ever built. Think about it. You cannot achieve anything meaningful if you cannot keep your word to yourself. You cannot build anything strong on a foundation of broken promises. So the work begins there, not with a big plan, not with a 5-year vision, with one small promise, kept today, and then another tomorrow, and then another the day after that. That is how the war turns. Not with a single victory, with 1,000 small ones. Let's be honest. You already know what your small promise is. You know exactly what you have been avoiding. You know the call you haven't made, the habit you haven't started, the conversation you haven't had, the book you haven't opened, the fear you haven't faced. You know, because that voice has been whispering about it for weeks, for months, for years. And every time you push it away, it comes back louder. That is not weakness. That is your potential trying to reach you. That is the better version of you, trapped behind the comfortable version, begging to be let out. And every time you ignore it, you are choosing to keep that better version locked away. How long are you going to keep him there? How long are you going to keep her there? How many more years are you going to let the comfortable version of yourself drive the car? Because here is what you must understand. The comfortable version of you is not driving toward greatness. The comfortable version of you is not driving anywhere. The comfortable version of you is parked. And every day you let him stay behind the wheel, you stay parked too. Now let's talk about something that most people never understand. They think that the war within is mostly about big moments, the big workout, the big project, the big risk. But that is not where the war is won or lost. The war is won or lost in the small moments, the 5-minute moments, the 30-second moments, the moment you decide whether to open the book or the phone, the moment you decide whether to speak up or stay silent, the moment you decide whether to take the stairs or the elevator, the moment you decide whether to look at the problem honestly or pretend it isn't there. These are not small moments, because your life is the sum of your small moments, not the average of your big intentions. Most people are excellent at having big intentions. They have spectacular plans. They have ambitious goals. They have powerful dreams, but they cannot win a single small moment. And so all of those big intentions die quietly, one tiny defeat at a time. Don't be that person. Don't be the person with the brilliant plan and the empty execution. Don't be the person who knows everything and does nothing. Don't be the one who could have, who should have, who almost did. Be the one who actually did. Even if it was small, even if it was clumsy, even if it was imperfect. Be the one who acted, because action is the only thing that ever changed anyone's life. Not thinking, not feeling, not planning, not hoping. Action. Now listen carefully, because this is something most people miss. The quiet war within is not won by becoming someone you are not. The quiet war within is won by becoming who you truly are, underneath all the fear, all the doubt, all the conditioning, all the lies you have been told and the ones you have told yourself. You were not born to be average. You were not born to be afraid. You were not born to live small, to dream small, to settle for what's easy and avoid what's meaningful. You were born with something inside of you that nobody else has. A combination of gifts, experiences, perspectives, scars, and dreams that has never existed before in human history and will never exist again. And every day you spend hiding that, dimming that, avoiding that, is a day the world is missing out on what only you can give. Think about that. Think about that carefully. The world doesn't need another copy of someone else. The world doesn't need you to fit in. The world doesn't need you to be quiet, polite, predictable, and small. The world needs the real you, the disciplined you, the committed you, the version of you that wins the war inside and shows up fully alive on the outside. That version of you exists right now, inside you. And the only thing standing between him and the world, between her and the world, is the daily fight you've been avoiding. Here is the hard truth. Nobody is coming. Nobody is going to wake you up. Nobody is going to motivate you forever. Nobody is going to live this life for you. The morning alarm is going to ring tomorrow whether you are ready or not. The years are going to pass whether you use them or waste them. The opportunities are going to come and go whether you reach for them or watch them drift by. And one day, sooner than you think, you are going to look in the mirror and you are going to see the result of every small choice you have made up to that point. The body you built or didn't build, the mind you sharpened or let dull, the relationships you nurtured or neglected, the skills you developed or postponed, the dreams you pursued or buried. That mirror is honest. That mirror does not lie. And that mirror is being built, line by line, every single day, by the small choices you are making right now. So let me ask you, what is that mirror going to show you in 5 years? Don't answer too fast. Sit with it. Be honest. Because the answer to that question is not random. The answer to that question is being written by you, today, in the small, invisible choices you are making while nobody is watching. Now understand this deeply. You do not need to win the entire war today. You do not need to fix every habit. You do not need to become a different person overnight. You only need to win today. Today. Just today. Win the small moments of today. Get up when the alarm rings. Do the hard thing first. Eat the food that builds you instead of the food that breaks you. Read 10 pages. Make the call. Have the conversation. Train the body. Train the mind. Keep one small promise to yourself. And then tomorrow, do it again. That is the entire secret. There is no other secret. Anyone who tells you something more complicated is either lying to you or selling you something. The quiet war is won by people who learn to win one day at a time and then do it long enough that the days turn into months and the months turn into years and the years turn into a life that other people look at and call extraordinary. But the people who built it know the truth. It wasn't extraordinary. It was just ordinary discipline, repeated for so long that it became extraordinary. Success is nothing more than a few simple disciplines practiced every day. That is not a poetic line. That is a description of reality. That is the entire mechanism. Most people overestimate what they can do in a day, and they completely underestimate what they can do in a year. They want huge results from huge efforts, and when the huge efforts feel exhausting, they quit. They never learn the patience of small efforts repeated. They never learn that compound is the most powerful force in any life. They never learn that the river does not cut through the rock because of its strength. The river cuts through the rock because it does not stop. Let that sink in. The river is not stronger than the rock. The river is just more patient than the rock. The river just keeps going. And eventually the rock has no choice but to give way. You can be that river. In your habits, in your fitness, in your craft, in your business, in your character. You don't need to crash through your life with explosive bursts of effort. You need to keep flowing. Every day, a little, then a little more, then a little more, until the rock of who you used to be has no choice but to give way to who you are becoming. Now let me ask you something honest. Who are you becoming? Not who are you trying to become. Not who do you wish you were. Not who you talk about being. Who are you actually becoming, based on what you are actually doing? Because here is the law nobody can escape. You are always becoming someone. Every day, every choice, every habit, every thought you repeat, every promise you keep, every promise you break, you are becoming right now, whether you are paying attention or not. The only question is whether you are becoming on purpose or by accident. Most people are becoming by accident. They have never sat down and asked themselves who they want to be in 5 years and what daily actions would build that person. They just drift. They take whatever comes. They react to whatever happens. They let their environment shape them instead of shaping their environment. And then they wonder why their life feels random, why they feel lost, why they feel like nothing they do matters. It feels that way because they have no aim. A man with no aim cannot hit a target. A woman with no aim cannot build a life. You must aim. You must decide. You must choose. And then you must act. Every day, in small ways, with patience, with consistency, with the understanding that the war within is not won loudly, it is won quietly. Now here is something powerful. The moment you start winning that war, even a little, your whole life begins to feel different. You start to like yourself more, not in an arrogant way, in a quiet, honest way, because you start to see in real time that you can trust yourself, that you say you'll do something and you actually do it, that you make a promise to yourself and you keep it. And that trust, that internal trust, changes everything. It changes the way you walk into a room. It changes the way you handle setbacks. It changes the way you face new challenges. Because you know, deep down, that you are the kind of person who follows through. And once you know that about yourself, you stop being afraid of so many things that used to scare you. You stop being afraid of starting because you know you can finish. You stop being afraid of trying because you know you can persist. You stop being afraid of failing because you know you can recover. You become unrecognizable to the version of you that used to flinch at the alarm clock. Think about that. What would it feel like to fully trust yourself? To know, without question, that when you say you'll do something, it will get done. Most people will never know that feeling because they have spent so many years breaking small promises to themselves that they have forgotten what self-trust even feels like. But you can rebuild it today with one small promise kept. That is where it starts. That is where it always starts. Don't wish you were easier. Wish you were better. Let me tell you something important about the war within. It never ends. Don't let anyone lie to you about that. There will not come a day when you wake up and the lazy version of you is gone forever. There will not come a day when the doubt disappears, the fear vanishes, and motivation flows endlessly. That is not how human beings work. The war within is a daily fight, even for the most disciplined people you can name. The difference is not that they don't fight the war. The difference is that they have fought it so many times, won it so many times, that they know they can win it again. They have built a muscle. They have built a reputation with themselves. They have proven to themselves in thousands of small moments that they are stronger than the voice that wants them to quit. And that is what you are building too. Every time you do the hard thing when you don't feel like it, every time you keep going when it would be easier to stop, every time you choose the version of yourself you want to become over the version that wants comfort right now, you are building the muscle. You are building the proof. You are building the reputation with yourself that will carry you through every future battle. Now listen carefully. There will be days when you lose, days when the voice wins, days when you hit snooze, skip the workout, eat the wrong thing, scroll the phone, avoid the call, break the promise. Those days will come. And here is what you must understand about those days. They do not define you. They are not who you are. They are just a battle lost. And the war is not won or lost in a single battle. The war is won by whoever comes back the most times. So when you lose a day, don't lose a week. When you lose a week, don't lose a month. When you lose a month, don't lose a year. Get up, brush off the dust, open your eyes, remember what you are fighting for, and come back. The people who win the long war are not the people who never fall. They are the people who fall and rise and fall and rise and never give the voice the final word. Most people give the voice the final word too early. They lose one battle and they hand over the war. Don't do that. Never do that. As long as you are still breathing, the war is still on. As long as you are still here, you still have a chance to turn it all around. Now let me leave you with this. Somewhere out there is a version of you that you have not yet met. A stronger version, a wiser version, a more disciplined version, a version that walks into rooms differently, speaks differently, carries himself differently, carries herself differently. A version that has built a body, a mind, a life that you, today, would barely recognize. That version of you is real. That version of you is possible. But that version of you will never exist if today's version keeps obeying that comfortable voice. That version of you is being built or being lost every single day in the small, invisible choices you are making while nobody is watching. So I want to ask you something, and I want you to be honest with yourself when you answer it. Are you building that version of you, or are you letting that version of you die? There is no in between. There is no neutral. There is no pause. You are either feeding the version of you that you want to become, or you are starving him. You are either training her, or you are abandoning her. Every day, every hour, every choice. So make a decision today. Not next year, not next month, not Monday. Today. Decide that from this moment forward, you are going to start winning the small battles. Decide that you are going to keep at least one promise to yourself today, even if it's small. Decide that you are going to do at least one hard thing on purpose, just to prove to yourself that you can. Decide that you are going to stop letting the comfortable vote cast the deciding vote in your life. Because the truth is, you have everything you need. You have the time, you have the mind, you have the body, you have the breath in your lungs, and the thoughts in your head. You have everything required to start winning the quiet war within. The only thing missing is the decision, and that decision is yours, right now. Nobody else can make it. Nobody else can carry it. Nobody else can live the consequences. Just you. So start today. Stop waiting. Stop hiding. Stop letting your potential whisper while your fear shouts. Keep the small promise. Win the small moment, and then do it again tomorrow, and the day after, and the day after that. Because in the end, the life you want is not built in some big magical moment. The life you want is built in the quiet, invisible victories that only you will ever know about. Those are the battles that matter. Those are the moments that decide everything. And those are the moments where the real you, the version of you that the world is waiting for, finally steps forward and says, today, the comfortable voice does not win. Today I do. Discipline is the bridge between goals and accomplishment. Walk that bridge today. Walk it tomorrow. Walk it for the rest of your life. And one day, sooner than you think, you will look back and you will realize that the quiet war you thought was destroying you was actually building you the entire time. You will realize that every hard morning, every difficult choice, every small promise kept was not a sacrifice. It was a construction. Brick by brick, choice by choice, day by day. You were building the only thing that ever truly mattered. You were building you. So go, win today, just today, and let tomorrow take care of itself. Because the war within is not lost in a single day, and it is not won in a single day. But the day you start showing up, fully, honestly, disciplined, awake, is the day everything begins to change. That day can be today. That day should be today. That day must be today. Now go fight your quiet war and win it.